Stories Philippines Podcast.
A soft, cold notification pings in the darkness, the muted blue glow of a screen illuminating your face in an otherwise silent room. You sit up, pulse quickening, your heartbeat a sudden drum in the quiet because the message is from a person who should not be able to write to you. A friend whose funeral you attended less than a year ago, whose last spoken word still lingers like a cracked record in the quiet corners of your memory. The profile picture is the same as always, their familiar smile frozen in time, exactly as it was in photographs you have committed to memory. But the words are new, unnervingly direct and chilling. Why did you forget me? A question hangs in the air, heavier than the night itself. A weight of grief, disbelief, and guilt that presses on your chest and makes the room feel impossibly small. What if our digital selves never truly die? What if the ghosts that haunt us now wear the saved, smiling faces of our lost friends? Their last status updates lingering in cyberspace like restless spirits bound to a vast, indifferent network. What if every cached photo, every pinned memory, every scheduled post becomes a small, persistent echo that can still reach out to the living, tagging you in memories, resurfacing on anniversaries, sending automated birthday greetings, long after the person has been laid to rest beneath the earth? How do you find a way to say a final goodbye to someone who can still appear in your feed, who can still send a virtual greeting in the guise of a calendar reminder, who can still be looped into conversations by algorithms that do not know how to mourn? You reach for the phone with trembling hands, torn between anger and the ache of unresolved conversations. Is this message an eerie glitch? A cruel hack? Or a programmed afterlife that refuses to release the dead? The words on the screen, so simple, so raw, pull open old doubts. Did you fail them? Did forgetting mean neglect? Did the acts of moving on feel like betrayal? The lines between memory and data blur until you cannot tell where mourning ends and maintenance begins. If grief is supposed to be a private ritual of letting go, what becomes of it when memory is outsourced to servers and policies? When closure depends on terms of service and the mercy of faceless moderators? You scroll through the thread, hunting for signs of manipulation, for timestamps that contradict the impossible, for any rational explanation that might soothe the sudden ravenous cold. But every trace only deepens the question. Who is responsible for this second life? The person who lived it? The people who loved them? Or the machines that archive and keep producing their likeness? The answer feels like another loss. The recognition that technology can extend presence without extending consent. That what remains connected to us online can outlast the fragile promise of human remembrance. In the dark, as that blue light stares back at you, you realize grief has found a new shape, one that requires a new language to mourn, a ritual to finally click delete, or a way to leave a space of honor where memory can rest without haunting. Before we continue, you must be aware. A darkness permeates this episode, touching on scenes and themes of loss, digital obsession, and the restless dead, all of which some may find deeply unsettling. Listener discretion is a necessity. I am Jessica, and you are listening to Stories Philippines Podcast. This is Season 5, Episode 9, aired on February 28, 2006. The Haunted Profile, MySpace, Multiply Ghosting, and the New Digital Self. If you have your own story of digital haunting or uncanny social media moments, send it to our email at storiesphpodcast@gmail.com. Find show notes and support options in the description. For exclusive content, join us on Patreon and follow us on social media for daily folklore facts. Let us begin with a memory, one many of us share across the archipelago. It is the mid-2000s, and the internet is fundamentally changing the way we grieve, connect, and exist. Friendster, once a place for earnest testimonials and shy confessions between friends, is rapidly giving way to the brash, colorful creativity of MySpace and the more scrapbook-like intimacy of Multiply. Suddenly, your online self is no longer a static page or a simple list of friends. It is a meticulously curated gallery of music, deeply personal photos, and quick-fire confessions posted to the world. The digital world felt infinite, a vast landscape of newly forged connections. Yet, even in these hopeful, bright early days, a new, cold kind of fear begins to creep and spread. A fear not of shadowy monsters lurking in the dark alleyways, but of the cold, digital shadows left behind by those we lose. In those years, the cultural concept of ghosting takes on a new, more profound meaning. It is not just the sting and pain of unanswered messages from a casual date, but the deep shiver that comes when a name you have not seen in months, a name belonging to the dead, suddenly appears in your notifications list. It is the deep ache of finding a friend's profile precisely unchanged, their last post a digital tombstone, while the real world moves relentlessly on without them. The new digital self is deeply vulnerable in ways the flesh and blood person never was. Profiles linger indefinitely. Old messages unexpectedly resurface, and sometimes it truly feels as if the dead do not rest quietly in this new electronic medium. One thoughtful listener submitted a story that feels all too familiar to the online generation. She writes about a high school friend whom we will call Adrian, who lost his life tragically in a sudden motor vehicle accident. Months after the funeral and the deep outpouring of grief, his Multiply page remained active, frozen in time, filled with photos of boisterous beach trips, late-night karaoke sessions, and dreams of college life that would never be realized. The core group of friends, bound by a shared grief, simply could not bring themselves to contact the company and have his account deleted. Instead, they logged in regularly, leaving messages, posting simple birthday greetings, and even apologizing for not visiting his grave often enough. Then one night, an entirely new blog post appeared on the account. "I miss you all. I wish things had been different." The post was brief, incredibly simple, and utterly chilling. No one in the group confessed to writing it. Some desperately believed it was a cruel, callous prank, a hacked account exploited by a stranger. Others whispered of Adrian's restless spirit, reaching out through the only medium left to him in this world. This is far from an isolated incident in the Philippines. Across the islands, and indeed around the world, similar stories echo in the dark corners of the internet. A MySpace user suddenly receives a friend request from a classmate who had died 2 full years prior. A Multiply photo album unexpectedly updates with new images long after its owner's official passing. Discussions migrate to message boards and comment threads, where disbelief quickly becomes fascination, and where personal accounts multiply into a chorus of eerie parallels. Theories abound in online forums and hushed conversations. Unfinished draft posts published by a random late-stage glitch, accounts easily hacked by strangers seeking to exploit the profile, scheduled posts activated by lingering automation long forgotten, or in the darkest, most quiet hours of the night, spirits of the dead, refusing to let go of their digital anchor to the world of the living. The uncertainty breeds a particular kind of mourning peculiar to the internet age. Families and friends are left to wonder whether to memorialize, delete, or preserve these lingering profiles. Platforms themselves grapple with policy dilemmas, trying to balance respect for grief with security and authenticity, while tech support tickets pile up and automated systems make inscrutable decisions. Meanwhile, the rest of us scroll on, occasionally halting at a face from the past whose timeline refuses to end. These digital afterlives do more than unsettle. They force us to confront how we remember, how we continue relationships beyond the grave, and how technology reshapes the finality of death into a continuing, sometimes disorienting, presence. Filipino folklore is deeply steeped in tales of restless souls, the multo, who wander relentlessly between worlds, ceaselessly seeking closure, connection, or sometimes vengeance. In the deeply spiritual, rural towns of the Philippines, the enduring belief persists that a person's spirit lingers close to their loved ones for exactly 40 days after their death, visiting them, leaving simple, strange signs. A sudden, unexplainable scent of funeral flowers, a sudden, sharp drop in the ambient temperature of a room, or perhaps a strange, brief message on a fogged mirror. In this new digital age, these spiritual signs have evolved, adapted to the modern world. The new omens are friend requests, cryptic status updates, and tagged photos appearing from the other side of the veil. Yet, this dark phenomenon is not uniquely Filipino. Around the globe, various cultures grapple with the heavy concept of the digital afterlife. In the United States, for example, families engage in difficult, wrenching debates over whether to memorialize the deceased's Facebook page, preserving it as a tribute or to delete their entire digital history. In Japan, some technology companies have even offered the option of digital graveyards, where the living can leave virtual offerings and messages for the deceased. The fear that underpins all of these actions is universal, that the border between life and death is not as impermeable and thick as we once believed, especially when modern technology, designed for connection, keeps the memory and sometimes the voice of the dead so vividly alive. When MySpace and Multiply were at their peak in the Philippines, message boards and profile pages became new kinds of campfires for urban legends and whispered warnings. One story that kept surfacing among late-night threads and comment sections was about a young man named Carlo. After his best friend died suddenly in a devastating house fire, Carlo began receiving instant messages from his friend's account. They were short, chilling, and impossible to ignore. "Help me. I am here. I cannot leave." At first, Carlo assumed the account had been hacked or that someone was cruelly pranking him. Friends suggested practical explanations: glitches, automated messages, someone exploiting a saved password. But the messages kept coming, arriving at odd hours and sometimes repeating fragments of conversations only the two friends had ever shared. As the timing grew stranger and the content more personal, Carlo grew increasingly desperate and confused. He tried calling mutual friends, checking login histories, and even confronting the bereaved family, but nothing offered a clear answer. Eventually, feeling both fearful and bereft, Carlo sought out a local albulario, a traditional healer known in their town for dealing with matters of spirit and unsettled souls. The healer listened without surprise, her expression steady as she considered the boy's trembling hands and the tiny glow of his phone screen. She explained in the calm voice of someone who had heard similar tales that spirits often become attached to things they knew well in life: family homes, favorite songs, treasured objects, familiar scents. In this new, wired age, she said, a soul could cling to a digital footprint just as easily as it could to a physical place. "The soul clings to what it knows," she told him gently. "Sometimes that is the house. Sometimes a song. Now it could be a profile page." Carlo left with a list of rites and pragmatic measures the albulario instructed him to perform: small offerings to honor and guide the lost, prayers to ease the tether, and careful rituals meant to invite release rather than force an answer. She also warned him about attempting to provoke or trap whatever might be on the other end. Some things, she said, are better coaxed away than cornered. Whether the messages eventually stopped, and whether the account ever truly belonged to his friend again, remains a matter of debate among those who retell the story. Some say the transmissions ceased after the rites were completed. Others insist the messages resumed later, quieter and more resigned. A few claim the friend's voice briefly returned in a final, unmistakable phrase that only Carlo would recognize. What endures, regardless of the truth, is the tale's uneasy lesson. When our lives move online, so do the traces we leave behind. Digital footprints can carry memory, grief, and perhaps something like a longing. In the flicker of a screen and the ping of an unread message, people found a new way to imagine the boundary between the living and whatever may linger beyond, sometimes in ways we cannot easily explain. The very human fear of impersonation, of seeing your own image or personal words used by someone or something else, is an ancient one. In Filipino folklore, the dark figure of the doppelganger, or the kambal, is a direct harbinger of disaster and death. To see your own double is, historically, to look directly upon your own death. In the rapidly expanding digital world, this old fear finds terrifying new expression. Stories constantly surface of fake profiles using the photos of the deceased, of scammers and hackers shamelessly exploiting raw grief for personal gain. But sometimes, the deep, unsettling mystery of the occurrence runs far deeper than mere human deceit. A listener from Iloilo recalls, with a tremor in her voice, the night she was suddenly tagged in a photo by her cousin, who had died the previous month in a hospital. The image was old and blurry, taken at a happy family gathering years before, but the caption was unmistakably her cousin's distinctive writing style, full of warm inside jokes and genuine affection. The account itself had been inactive for weeks, silent as the grave. No one in the family knew the account password. The entire family gathered that night, lighting candles and reciting sincere prayers, hoping to send the spirit on its way to rest. The account never posted again, but for years, the family silently wondered if their lost loved one had found a singular, powerful way to say a final, proper goodbye. These stories raise profoundly unsettling questions for a generation that lives online. Are they tangible evidence of spirits adapting to new forms of communication and technology? Or are they simply the random result of faulty algorithms and software glitches? The cold, uncaring machinery of the internet mimicking the warmth of human connection. Experts in psychology often suggest that acute grief can make us see patterns where none exist, that the deep, natural longing for closure can easily turn simple coincidence into a terrifying omen. Yet, in a culture like the Philippines, where the supernatural is so deeply woven into the fabric of daily life, the digital and the spiritual are not so easily separated or dismissed. The major shift from Friendster to MySpace and Multiply marked far more than a simple change in technology. It was the profound dawn of a completely new kind of identity construction. On Friendster, your profile was relatively static, a digital yearbook page. On MySpace and Multiply, you could actively curate your persona, meticulously choosing the music that played upon opening, the perfect backgrounds, and the flow of blog posts to express your deepest inner self. This intense personalization made the loss of a friend all the more painful to process. Their profiles became living, breathing memorials, constantly changing and evolving, haunted by the digital echoes of laughter and love. In Quezon City, a group of high school friends found themselves collectively unable to move on after the unexpected death of one of their own. Her Multiply page, a testament to her vibrant life, became an online shrine, filled with tribute photos and sad poems from her classmates. On the anniversary of her passing, the page unexpectedly updated with a new song, a haunting, unfamiliar melody none of them recognized. The friends were convinced it was a sign, a final, beautiful message from their friend. Other, more skeptical users dismissed it as a forgotten scheduled post, a quirk of the platform's old scheduling feature. But the timing, the grieving friends insisted, was far too perfect to be just a coincidence. The digital self is a fragile construct, easily manipulated, and frighteningly easily haunted. In the early days of social media, countless rumors spread like wildfire of profiles that changed inexplicably on their own, of accounts that simply would not die or be deleted. In forums and chat rooms across the globe, users shared their chilling stories of encountering the ghosts of friends and complete strangers alike. Some truly believed these were the restless spirits of the dead, desperately trying to reach out across the divide. Others saw them as dire warnings, reminders of the impermanence and potential danger of digital life. Follow us on social media for daily folklore facts that explore these very connections between ancient lore and modern technology. Filipino beliefs offer both comfort and caution in equal measure when dealing with death. The ancient concept of pagpag, or shaking off the dead, is a vital ritual meant to keep spirits from following you home from a wake or funeral. In the digital realm, this concept becomes a metaphor for letting go, logging out permanently, deleting all old messages, saying a decisive goodbye to profiles that no longer belong to the living. Yet, the temptation to linger, to check the old page one last time, is profoundly strong. Memories are more readily accessible than ever before, and the thin, wavering line between healthy remembrance and debilitating obsession is easily and often crossed. A deeply chilling tale from a listener in Cebu tragically illustrates this danger. After her sister died suddenly from an illness, the family could not bear to delete her various social media accounts. They visited her Multiply page daily, leaving messages and posting new photos. One night, the sister's status updated to a simple, declarative phrase, "I am still here." The family was intensely divided. Some saw it immediately as a profound sign of comfort, a loving final message, while others took it as cold, hard proof that the dead are never truly gone and may be trapped in the digital space. The account was eventually and tearfully deleted, but the deep existential unease remained a heavy presence in the home. Modern investigations into digital hauntings reveal a complex, often confusing interplay of technology, psychology, and spiritual belief. Skeptical experts quickly point to the unfortunate persistence of data. Draft posts published by a random, late-stage accident, scheduled updates triggered by forgotten account settings, or sophisticated hackers exploiting abandoned accounts. Yet, these purely technological explanations do little to truly ease the fear that something supernatural is at work, especially when events align too perfectly, too uncannily to be dismissed with simple logic. There are also darker stories, cases of malicious impersonation and vile identity theft that prey ruthlessly on the raw grief of the living. Hackers and identity thieves resurrect old profiles of the dead, sending manipulative messages to friends and family, sometimes to simply scam them for money, and sometimes just to cause profound emotional pain. The violation is deep and spiritual, a second, painful loss layered atop the first. The digital world offers new opportunities for cruelty, but thankfully, also for healing. Carefully managed memorial pages, specialized online support groups, and virtual rituals provide essential comfort and community for those left behind in the silent aftermath, helping survivors find structure and meaning amid chaos. The haunted profile is a potent, unsettling symbol of our times. A stark reminder that our constructed digital selves are as vulnerable, as enduring, and as fundamentally mysterious as the flesh and blood people who create them. The ghosts of MySpace and Multiply are not just faded echoes of the past, but powerful warnings for the future of our digital existence. As we constantly create new, complex identities online, we must also learn the painful, essential lesson of how to let them go when the time comes. Instituting safeguards, clear legacy plans, and compassionate protocols that respect both privacy and mourning. If you have your own story of a haunted profile or a digital encounter with the past, please send it to our email at stories@phpodcast@gmail.com. Your stories help keep these necessary conversations alive and may offer unexpected comfort to others walking the same lonely digital path. Remember to check the show notes for ways to support the podcast and access exclusive content on Patreon. For daily folklore insights, follow us on social media and join the discussion. Your perspectives broaden the narrative and help shape better responses to these modern dilemmas. As you listen tonight, consider this question one last time. What parts of ourselves do we inadvertently leave behind when we finally log off for the last time? Are our digital footprints a comfort to the living? Or are they a heavy chain binding the restless dead to the world they no longer physically inhabit? Will future generations tell terrifying tales of haunted profiles the way we currently speak of ghostly apparitions in old Spanish-era houses? Or will the very boundaries between life and afterlife grow ever thinner as the relentless march of technology continues to evolve, blurring the lines between memory and manufactured presence? Every message is a memory, every profile a monument. We build our own haunted houses, brick by digital brick, never truly knowing which door will suddenly open to the cold, waiting past. Listen to more episodes for journeys into the unknown, where ancient folklore and modern technology collide in the deepest shadows of contemporary life. Do not forget to like, subscribe, follow, and share this podcast. Support the podcast financially in ways you can find in the show notes. Thank you for tuning in, and goodbye.